increased revenue. You're able to have a 7-time lower change failure rate and over 2,600 times faster incident recovery. And we'll learn how we can handle incident recovery today in this module. Now, you might have seen this comparison or this analogy before, but pre-DevOps or pre-2020, we actually had some incentives that were not exactly fair. Dev and operations were incentivized at one point in time to work against each other. There was this wall of confusion here because developers, it's in our nature to want to be agile. We want to have more change. We want to have our next sprint. We want to continue to iterate. We just want to keep moving forward because we love developing and we love building. But operations, which I also know a little bit about because aside from being a developer now, I spent 10 years on the ops side. And I can empathize with that because operations actually just wants to keep the lights on. We just want to make sure our servers are up, which actually means as little change as possible, right? So now developers want to move quickly, operations want to not move at all. It also creates this wall of confusion because we don't understand where the other person is coming from, and it kind of has this catastrophe. By actually using value as the focus, as the definition of DevOps reminds us, now developers and operations can actually work together towards a shared common goal, where both sides want to deliver value. We can now have empathy, we can now have understanding, and now we can work on actually that operation part of the DevOps process. So again, we've already seen this a few slides ago. We have our planning, develop, delivering. Now we're in the operation part because we have that shared common goal of value. So let's start with how we can have responsible incident response now that we're all on the same Tailwind Traders team. Disaster strikes. The website is down. Email notifications went out. Of course, email is so reliable. Everyone reads every email. But actually time goes by and the website's still down. We still have a problem. So incident notifications are not broadly distributed. A lot of times that's what people think. Even I've worked on teams where you get a P1 alert or a P2 alert or Sev1 or Sev2, whatever you want to call it, and we just email the entire engineering team. But it comes across as though it's only informational, we're only doing heartbeat or logging, and that's not actually true incident response. Instead, what incident response is they're specifically directed. Which teams or which engineer actually needs to be notified about this alert? What action do you want this engineer to take? And is this in need of human intervention? Or, as we'll come to learn, is this something that we can help tie automation in? So when we're working through establishing a basic designated responsible individual rotation, or a shift, this is pretty much just a fancy term for creating a incident response shift, we want to create a DRI, disaster recovery incidents, schedule using shifts, which is an app in Microsoft Teams, and we'll learn how we can do that. We're going to learn how we can create a logic app, which is really, really simple to actually connect over to that Shifts team app in Microsoft Teams. And that way we can notify the correct disaster recovery individual or responsible individual. And then we're going to learn how we can update the alert action target in the logic app itself. So this first demo, we're going to go through creating a basic DRI notification.
All right, so we're going to start in Microsoft Teams. I have a team instance set up, and I've already installed something called the Shift app. When we click on Shift, you can see that we've already started to scaffold out the week for our team's shifts for incident response. We can take a look at the first shift here. We have it, when we go into Edit, you'll notice that we have it set for 24 hours. We've assigned the responsible individual, Stephen in this case, and we provided a date and time range for his shift to begin. We could add other things like notes or labels. We can add things like breaks, but we're going to keep it simple. Now, once we have our week or whatever time period we need defined, we can simply select the Copy Schedule button, and we can choose the date range we want to copy from and the date we want to copy our selection to. This will include all notes, activities, time off, open shifts, and even groups. Now, in this example, we're able to create the next 2 weeks for our shifts with only having to manually create that first week range. Now that I've done that, I'm still able to make any adjustments or tweak as needed before